bit like, they own more of a percentage of my house than I do.
But at least you didn't have the headache of having to apply for the mortgage.
Oh, I did apply for it. I applied for like 3 or 4, and they all kept rejecting me because of the freelancing thing.
But even after you apply and once you've been approved, there's still a long process dealing with it. And there's always always have your fingers crossed whether or not it's going to be approved, it's going to be fall through. Like when I bought
that's the mortgage. That's even before you start the solicitor's process.
Yeah. So during I bought our flat, me and my wife bought our flat during lockdown. And we exchanged contracts. We paid our deposit that you're supposed to pay to get the mortgage, and we're sort of on the hook now to buy this property. But then what happened? Lockdown happened, and then because of lockdown, it pushed, because there's a new bill. It pushed back our completion date by several months. And when you get a mortgage offer, it only lasts 6 months. So now you have to go back to your bank and ask them to extend.
Is that mortgage offer on until they confirm or until the process is complete?
To it complete. So
wait. Completion takes on average now 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So you apply for the mortgage. Luckily, for, if you're not in a queue, then you get the house.
Yeah.
And then if you're in a chain, so like if you've got other people on that, then then that mortgage still is 6 months limited.
So
or can you update it and be hey?
Our one's a bit different because it was a new bill.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for our pretty much our property to be completed.
Yeah.
So that's what we were waiting for. So it was meant to be done that year, September.
But you didn't have to deal with any solicitors or anything.
Yeah, we did. Of course, you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're dealing with solicitors. You're dealing with all sorts of people paying them all sorts of money.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So you get a 6 month mortgage offer, but then we got knocked back to December to the completion date. So that's what happened with us. So now we're worried. Now we're worried in this period of whether or not they're gonna honor our mortgage offer or if they're gonna extend it. Lucky enough, because the banks were pretty good, they extended it for us.
Yeah.
But,
there's such an extra stress that doesn't need to be there, and especially if it's like, well, I can guarantee the money and stuff like that.
I forgot to mention what happened as well. The day that we completed.
What?
When it's time for our mortgage to go through with Nationwide, they contacted and said, we haven't agreed to extend your mortgage. They lost pretty much the email or whatnot, the paper trail.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I found there's a lot of fuckwits involved in this suddenly. Like, I mean, not necessarily with the mortgages side of things, because banks tend to have their, be a weird bank if they didn't have their numbers, their numbers in order. But I think that for me, it was the solicitors.
So for anybody going through this process in the UK,
we feel your pain.
Also, keep everything documented. Be organized. Get a folder. Keep all the information.
Absolutely, keep it together.
Yeah. Lucky enough, we had the email what they agreed for the extend.
Yeah, because if you just ignored that and couldn't find it again, that's ridiculous.
Can you imagine like now we have to pay hundreds of thousands somewhere.
It's thousands of pounds every time you try and even just getting so like a solicitor will cost something like £1,500. It's cost us £1,500 for a solicitor for 4 months. She sat on her ass. It was crazy. It was like, I swear, like all she had to do was gather a few documents from various other people and wait. And then she did that. Then she wrote her report, which was basically copy pasted. And then she went through it all and didn't seem to really give that much of a shit about that many details. And then, and we're asking stuff like, where's the stop clock, which is like how it turns on and off the water and stuff. And they just, every time I almost felt like I could hear them and the estate agents, who were also paying like 10% of this property price is going to these estate agents. So that's like 25 grand or something.
And the thing about that, like the average
why are people rolling their eyes?
The average person like me and you don't know the ins and outs of buying a property or even selling a property.
No.
So you hire these experts. Like you have,
and you trust them like you would a doctor.
Expect them to advise you, but they don't. They're not there to advise. They're there to just
do paperwork.
Yeah,
paperwork. It just doesn't make sense. I mean,
and they don't have the information. They're not going to tell you anything, and they just go. You just have to dig it. You have to keep contacting them.
Why do you have? Yeah, I shouldn't have to chase someone and paying £1,500 for one job for.
Yeah.
Like it was driving me nuts, and it's just like, and you feel because you're British, it feels kind of embarrassing.
And the whole thing about like the paperwork is all that legal jargon that the average person doesn't know what that means.
I mean, I can kind of go through it because of the things I used to have to do for my papers. Is that half of journalism is going through ridiculously boring stuff to find stuff that's actually very interesting but disguised as boring. And the council's automatic. They will purposely write certain things in a way that makes it as unnoticeable as possible, so that you have to be really sharp on it. But I think though that in this case it's the same thing. These solicitors things. And also, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there were so many forms and things. I had to pay like £200 here, £500 here for a form. It's a fucking form, and they can't even. I mean, they couldn't even write an email. My one was all right, but the seller's solicitors sent an email that I shit you not looked like they drunk typed it on a text. It was just nonsense, and I'm like, you're also being paid £1,500, and you can't write an email. And there's me like, well, you know, like if I made that kind of error, I'd get the shit kicked out of me as a journo. And it's like, yeah. So, but also I found that, you know, with the estate agents and stuff, it was they were right. I mean, ours are particularly good apparently, and you know, I don't really, you know, I can't really compare, but it's just a bit weird. Like I hate the language that people use around it. And then you go around this. I mean, the premise itself is just weird. You go for a little tour of this little place, and it just feels a bit like, well, okay, so I'm there for 10 minutes, while some estate agents rolling their eyes and just trying to get me out the door, really, because they've got 15 other properties to do and they're overbooked. And that's a little bit frustrating because you're asking for a lot of money considering you don't have more than 20 minutes for me. And, you know, I'd want to be there for an hour if it's just something that I'm going to try and think about how I'm going to live there and stuff. And this is the most YouTube thing we're ever going to do.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our video. Please do like and subscribe.